Hi, gay. Happy Pride Month. We are sashaying away with deals. This month at the Butter Shop, we're running a special deal. If you can prove that you're queer, you get 3 pints off your choice of creamed, chucked, or drowned butter. And if you do mouth stuff, you get 4. We love gay, and it's awesome. So come visit. And we also make candles now. Wouldn't a candle be nice for gay stuff? In the bedroom or just hanging out. Yeah, we wouldn't. Wouldn't your partner want butter from the original old maid's home? We've been making butter since 1945, and we've been accepting all people since the last 4 months. So yeah, we're gagging for you to come take a taste of Cecily's Butter Shop at Cecily's Butter Shop.
Oh my God, I hadn't seen the whole thing before. That was amazing. Obviously mocking the corporations who are suddenly like so happy to pretend briefly to accept people so that they can get some of their money and then go back to actively undermining those people's rights. I see some in the chats like the new Cecily Strong. Well, first of all, Cecily Strong is still around. But yes, that was very good. I can imagine Cecily doing that. Look, this is gonna be a conversation about that exact hypocrisy, about what corporations imply they're gonna do, and then how they actually spend their money. We're gonna dive into the results of an investigation by Popular Information. But first, Brett, I wanted to give you a chance to weigh in.
I never know. First of all, my pet peeve is to say like, this is just like that other comedian. It breaks my heart.
I know you hate that. I just was acknowledging that it did feel, I like that.
Yeah,
that's a compliment. I think
she's great on in Hacks, by the way. She's fantastic in Hacks. She's one of the funniest parts of it. Anyway, so
no, she was in that.
I never know how to respond in this area, because on the one hand, you have successfully pressured companies into putting out, superficially or not, this message to the entire country that it's okay to be gay. You're doing that. Behind the scenes, they are, as you'll show now, donating huge sums of money to explicitly anti-gay candidates. How do you call them out for the stuff they do wrong without just seeming like, hey, these guys can never get it right and I can never be happy? Kind of reputation. That's balance. I always find it hard to strike.
Sure. Yeah, I think a lot of the things that these corporations would do would be awkward and cringy and exploitative, and people still wouldn't like that. But I think it would bother people a little bit less if the corporations weren't also actively, undermining people's rights and stuff.
I like the meme that's like, great, now do X. Like, great, now stop donating to those people who are anti-LGBTQ.
I agree. By the way, people have clarified that was satire.
Yeah,
the awkwardness was on purpose. It was criticizing those corporations. The fact that some people didn't even read it as satire, they thought it was serious, I think makes it pretty damn good satire. But anyway, let's get into what Popular Information. Judd Legum, who's been on our program multiple times, as well as some co-authors, did a look at major corporations who are eager to communicate that they're allies of the LGBTQ community, sometimes year-round, more frequently just in advance of and during Pride. So they're doing the rainbows and they're sponsoring pride parades and all that. But they found that 25 major corporations have donated more than $13 million just since the start of last year to anti-LGBTQ politicians. So they provide some examples. Last June, AT&T tweeted, "We can turn up the love for LGBTQ plus youth together." They say that they recognize, embrace, and stand with LGBTQ plus people. I don't know, maybe they think one of those letters stands for homophobe, because that's where their funding is going. They've given more than $1 million, so an outsized amount of donations from just AT&T. Toyota donated $600,000 since 2019 to anti-LGBTQ politicians. They gave Greg Abbott $400 grand. That is crazy, and like you can see, Judd Legum has awesome tweets which you can go to. We don't have time to dive into all of them, but pointing out the AT&T $50,000 to Ron DeSantis, $100K to Greg Abbott. You've got this breakdown here of Spectrum giving $1.2 million, Comcast and Amazon and Home Depot and Deloitte and all that. And Deloitte contributed $2,000 to Florida state senators, so they're getting in at the ground floor there. But it's not super surprising, I suppose. We know that a lot of these corporations, and Popular Information pointed this out too, that said following the insurrection, they would no longer support these politicians. They waited like 3 months or so, and then they're like, I think we can do it now. I would like to have that influence over government again, so here is more money.
They're such octopuses. Corporations are octopi.
Give me more. Yeah.
Like they're very smart. They're smarter than you think they are. They can be your octopus friend sometimes. You have to strive to be the octopus teacher or whatever. I didn't watch that whole documentary, but they change their colors in this case quite literally to match whatever will help them survive the most.
Yeah. 100%.
It's very frustrating. And then you do see that octopus who squeeze through a tiny hole to get out of a ship. Like they do that as long as their beak can squeeze through the hole, and that's their maw gobbling profits. They will do it. They can and will change their colors to survive. And so this is an attempt, calling them out is an attempt to say, cool, you realize it's not just about a rainbow logo. Thank you though for thinking it is, at least your heart's in the right place. But in the same way that we pressured you in a way that you couldn't avoid to change your logo, we now need to change where your political contributions are going.
Yeah, I think you're giving them even more credit than I would in terms of their heart being in the right place. I mean, maybe for some of them, their heart, the execs or whatever, the ad people. But I think you were onto it with the camouflage. They think, oh, in the background, I guess there's some rainbowy stuff. So all of a sudden they're covered by rainbow. It's like a defense mechanism, basically. But they're actively funding politicians who are doing terrible things. And I want to go to this last graphic for here because like just giving the money to Republicans is bad enough. But I want to be clear, this money goes to people who don't just have the wrong position, they're doing terrible things. So in this list, and you should go to Popular Information to get the full list of the donations, but money donated by corporations and corporate PACs to state legislators who sponsored anti-LGBTQ legislation that was signed into law. This is not hypothetical. They sponsored the legislation. It is now law, and they've been rewarded by these corporations. Money dominated by corporations and corporate PACs to the governors who signed anti-LGBTQ legislation into law. And there was money donated by corporate PACs to the leadership PACs of members of Congress that have received a 0 rating on the latest congressional scorecard produced by Human Rights. So this is not just like, oh, they're generally bad people. These are people who are doing these things. They're passing laws like the Don't Say Gay bill. They're targeting trans youth in these states. They're making these things happen, and they're being rewarded by these corporations. Any final thoughts?
No, it's kind of sickening. I don't remember. I was listening to Jordan do a deep dive last night as I was driving, and there's a tweet. I think he talked about this. There's a tweet from the Marines where it's a camouflage hat and a band with bullets, and they changed the bullets. Each one is a different rainbow color.
That's gotta be parody.
And the corporate stuff is just, for me, neoliberalism turns into such a nebulous term the more people use it. But this is neoliberalism in a nutshell. It's like when it comes to financial stuff, free markets, you do whatever, get me the lowest tax rate and let me ruin entire economies, neighborhoods, whatever I need to do to make a profit. But I'm gonna have a cool little banner saying I like gay people. And that's the problem. And that's like centrist establishment politics in a nutshell. They aren't gonna change the stuff that actually makes your life better. Like my frustration is when people say, listen, the Democrats give out all this free stuff. No, Republicans and centrist Democrats give out the free stuff. And by that, I mean, totally worthless crap, like hate of gay people, or in terms of what a corporation does, they're not gonna do anything that costs them any money. They'll give you stuff if it's free, and it's free because you already have someone running your social media team. You just change the color on your logo. That's free as hell. That's the free stuff that they give to everybody, and I hate it.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.